38 states do not tax Social Security. You realize that? 38 states do not tax Social Security. We're going to get into those states and the ones that do now here in just a second. So, first and foremost, if you live in one of those 38, you don't have to pay taxes on your Social Security. Thus, many states which you think are high tax for retirees is just simply not true. Now, there are other restrictions. Your lack of freedom, California, Maryland, New Jersey, property taxes, New Jersey, estate tax, Massachusetts, things of that nature. But from an income tax perspective, don't freaking go crazy. Look, if you're Jeff Bezos, yeah, you're going to get taxed no matter where you are. If you're just good old salt of the earth, middle class Joe Biden, you're making less than six figures, your income tax, regardless of what state you live in, is going to be minimal at best. So let's dive into this. Again, as I've said many times, I follow Elaine Floyd over at Savvy Social Security Planning. So we'll go on this. Elaine's a true believer in the government safety net. And that, look, I got no qualm with that. The concern is the government safety net. If you truly believe in the question, you got to wonder is, well, if it's good now, it can be even better. And that's where I get a little bit nervous about people advocating for the government safety net because, well, it's good now because now there's articles, not just on Horse's Mouth, but other places, seemingly to advocate a nationwide employer mandate for retirement savings. I'm like, well, we already have it. It's called Social Security. So if that is presumably good, then why do we need another one? If that's good enough, if that's not good enough, then mandating even more sounds like it could be kind of. That bothers me, actually, because you're already paying 6.2 and your employer's paying 6.2 as well. So let's not pretend there's not a nationwide mandate on Social Security. All right, so before the troll starts saying, you get to the point, we're going to tell you the 38 states that don't tax Social Security. You ready? On your mark, get set. All right, only if your client lives in one of the 38 states that either have no state income tax or don't tax Social Security. The states with no income tax are Alaska, Florida, Nevada, South Dakota, Texas, Washington, Wyoming. Now you wonder, why is Tennessee not on there? Because Tennessee and New Hampshire both have taxes on income to some regard. I think Tennessee's is gone. I think it's this year, actually. But capital gains and I think interest in capital gains in New Hampshire, but not Social Security. And then Tennessee used to have the same. But anyway, Tennessee and New Hampshire can be thrown in there as well. The states that don't tax Social Security, Alabama, Arizona, Arkansas, California, Delaware, D.C., Georgia, Hawaii, Idaho, Illinois, Indiana, Iowa, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maine, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan, Mississippi, New Hampshire, New Jersey, New York, North Carolina, Ohio, Oklahoma, Oregon, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia, and Wisconsin. And these states' state income taxes, our Social Security benefits are a big fat goose egg, and I'll just cut and paste that and put it on as show notes. Utah and Mexico tax Social Security the same way the federal government does, so the state income that is entered on line 6B of 1040 would be entered on the state income tax return and payable at the state's tax rates. The remaining 11 states, Colorado, Connecticut, Kansas, Minnesota, Missouri, well, that's Missouri in there, Montana, Nebraska, North Dakota, Rhode Island, Vermont, West Virginia may tax all or part of Social Security, but under a different formula than federal taxation. Several states reduce the level of taxation depending on things like age or income level. For example, Colorado excludes $20,000 of Social Security benefits for taxpayers under the age of 65. If you're 65 and older, you can exclude up to $24,000 of benefits and other retirement income from your taxes. That's not that much. Connecticut excludes Social Security benefits from income calculations on any taxpayer with less than $75,000 if you're single, or $100,000 again if you're joint. So again, excludes Social Security benefits from income unless you have over $100,000 married or 75 single. That's what I'm saying. If you're under six figures, that's what you want to strive to. Taxpayers who exceed these thresholds can deduct 75% of their federally taxable Social Security on their state tax return. So even if you make over $100,000 and you're married, you can deduct 75% of your taxable Social Security benefit from your state tax return. Essentially, Social Security in Connecticut is taxed minimally. It's the property tax that gets you. Kansas, exempt Social Security from taxation if your AGI is $75,000 or less, regardless of married or single. If AGI is over $75,000, Social Security is taxable as the same as federal income. So you got to figure out your provisional income. That's how you figure out your AGI. Minnesota has a graduated system of Social Security subtractions. A married couple can deduct up to $5,200 of their federally taxable Social Security from their state income. Wow. The tax break can be as much as $4,000 for a head, or whatever, $4,000 if you're single, $5,000 if you're married, basically. Great. The deductions phased out for married couples with more than $79,000 of provisional income. So basically, Minnesota, you're paying pretty close to whatever the federal government charges. That's what you're going to pay on your Minnesota state tax returns. Missouri allows a full Social Security exemption as long as a taxpayer is 62 or older and has less than $85,000 single or $100,000 in joint annual income. Taxpayers who exceed these may qualify for partial exemption. Montana has a worksheet to see if Social Security benefits are taxable. The amount taxable at the state level may be different than the feds. I don't know. All right, whatever. Nebraska taxes Social Security at the same level of income if you're making over $43,000 single or $58,000 joint. North Dakota does not tax your Social Security if you're married with $100,000 or a single $50,000. So if you have $100,000 joint and your AGI is less than that, you don't pay taxes on your Social Security. Rhode Island does not tax Social Security if you have AGI below $85,000 or $106,000 joint. For taxpayers exceeding these benefits, federal benefits are taxed at the same as the federal. Social Security benefits are taxed at the same as the federal level. Vermont doesn't tax Social Security if you're $45,000 or less AGI single or $60,000 joint. Taxpayers who exceed these may qualify for a partial exemption. West Virginia is in the process of phasing out taxation on Social Security. I tell you, West Virginia is beginning to look more and more attractive, man. I'm telling you right now. In 2020, the state exempts 35% of benefits. In 2021, that amounts to 65%. In 2022, is completely exempt. Fantastic, man. Be sure to remind people who are just starting Social Security and to incorporate that tax in the projections. At the time they start benefits, they can either elect a voluntary tax withholding, choosing all that 7, 10, 12, 22%, basically your effective tax rate, or they can report on their quarterly estimates. Yeah, so you got to pay estimate tax on Social Security. So anyway, that's pretty good stuff there. Elaine makes a... I kind of like her. Look, I don't even know if you can subscribe to this unless you can read this article unless you subscribe to the blog, which I do for, I think, $500 a year. Anyway, so essentially, unless you're making over $100,000, you're not paying tax on your Social Security to the states. It's just not happening, man. All right? 38 states don't tax at all. We just went for the states that do. Very, very few tax you, hardly at all, unless you're making over six figures. So just stop worrying about I got to get out of here because taxes on my state. If you're making less than $100,000, you're not paying tax on Social Security for the vast majority of Americans. Let me hear your comments. Thanks, now.